Good morning, Southpark Toastmasters. We are at our first meeting of the month of August. I don't know how the summer is already going by. I'm watching leaves change colors already and it's breaking my heart. I don't know that I'm ready for it, but here we go again. So we have some really amazing speakers today, some new faces popping up. I'm so excited. And we're also going to try something new with a round robin evaluation. So that'll be really fun for our club. Our last leaders meeting was really wonderful, and we came up with some really great ways to sort of just elevate and level up our club to make sure that every week we're just showing up even better and making this more efficient, more professional, and just making sure that we achieve our goals like we did last year so we can continue to be distinguished and presidential and all the things. So I am Sarah Mary. I am your president for this Toastmaster term, and I am going to turn our meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day, who is Jamil Massey. Jamil, you're ready to take it away.
Thank you, Sarah Mary, and welcome and good afternoon to everyone on the call. And thank you all for joining and being able to, like Sarah Mary said, continue on your own personal growth journey, and then we also get a chance to do it as a group. So as the Toastmaster of the day, I'm going to kind of lead us through our meeting. And she had mentioned round robin evaluations. So for the sake of those who may not have heard of that particular term, as you know, once we have the speakers give their regular speech, we normally have one person that's assigned to do the evaluation that's given by Toastmasters International, talk about the body language, the vocal variety, and all the different criteria that's on that form. Round robin is a chance for everybody to, it doesn't have to be everybody, but several people, anything that you may have seen is kind of a condensed, concise version of an evaluation. And, you take maybe, instead of 2 to 3 minutes for the evaluation, take maybe 30 seconds or so. Anything that you may have noticed that could have been done better, or things that you like that stood out to you in a positive way. So that is the point of a round robin. So you kind of go around the room or around the monitor as it is today to give a little bit of feedback on the speech that you heard. Now it's supposed to be based on some of the things that we've learned about in evaluation. So you don't want to say, I don't think you picked a good topic. I think you should have talked about basketball, or I think you should have talked about fishing, or I think you should have. Try not to be opinionated, but try to see what you actually noticed from the speech. If they were off camera, say, hey, I couldn't really sing you because you're off camera, like what I'm demonstrating right now, and things like that. All right, so that's round robin. It's a kind of group effort. Now, let's go ahead and dive into some of our roles for today. We have 7 volunteers that it's going to take to keep our meeting successful. And the theme, oh no, that's the title of our speech. Our timer for the day is going to be John O'Connor. Good afternoon, John. Can you tell us the role of timer, please?
Of course. Good afternoon, Jamil and fellow Toastmasters. I will be keeping track of time today to make sure we all finish up in a timely fashion. For our speeches today, I will flash the green, which will just indicate that you have some time left. So for the speeches, when I flash the green, you have 1 minute left. So I'll be flashing that at 5 minutes. Then I will flash it again at 6 minutes. I'll flash a yellow to let you know you have 1 minute left. And then I will flash red at the end of your speech. It'll be 7 minutes. Same deal, table topics, time will be a little bit different. So after 1 minute, I'll flash green. After 1.5 minutes, I'll flash yellow. And then you will see a big fat red for 2 minutes, and it's time to get wrapped up there. Just so you know, it's not a hard stop, but just an indication that you should probably wrap up and conclude when you see the red. Evaluation. They'll be at the end. Evaluation, same deal, be green at 2 minutes, and then for 2.5 minutes you're going to see a yellow, and then last but not least you'll see a red at 3 minutes. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jamil.
Great. Thank you for that explanation, John. These times help us to stay on track, and it also gives us practice runs for if someone decides to enter a Toastmasters speech competition. So thank you for that. This is good practice area here. So before I jump into anything else, I want to recognize one of our guests, Dennis. I'm glad you're able to join us to check things out. You want to take a second to just introduce yourself and let us know how you found out about our club, just briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me here. My name is Dennis. I looked online and was looking for some ways to just improve my personal speech. I do a lot of like uhs and ands and stuff like that. So I've noticed that and wanted to correct that. Yeah, so that's why I'm here.
Great. Thank you for joining. Sit back, relax, and take it all in. We are going to introduce our next role for the day. You just mentioned uhs and ums and filler words. I'm going to introduce our grammarian for the day. It's going to be Debbie Tertinger. Debbie, tell us what the role is for the grammarian and the word of the day, please.
Yep, thank you, Jamil. Our word of the day, I placed it in the chat, and the word of the day is brouhaha. And it means an uproar or hubbub, and includes a state of commotion or noisy confusion. It makes me think, as we are preparing to go to a hybrid format with our clubs, I thought a sentence that might go with it is, as we prepare to go to a hybrid format for our club meetings, we have only a slight brouhaha. And Dennis, I really commend you for coming to our meeting to learn more about your speaking and your ums and ahs, because that is something that we all work on, and we know we help each other as we work on these different goals. So thank you, and back to Jamil.
Great. Thank you, Debbie, for that word of the day and the explanation on what the filler words is for, or at least the tracking of the filler words. I know once we at least have it on our radar, we can kind of minimize it and hopefully eliminate the filler words, but at least minimize them. I know I still have one every now and then I sneak in, but when I started out, I had a lot of filler words, uhs, ums, so's, lip smacks. I think I invented a few filler words. So,
And Jamil, I forgot to mention that I do count as I listen. I forgot to mention that part. I count as I listen to all the speakers, and then I give as specific feedback as I can to each one of us on the number of those, but also the interesting creative words that people use too. So we try to look for positives and then areas to improve upon. So back to you, and thanks.
perfect. Thank you, Debbie. Our general evaluator is going to be done by Sarah Mary. Can you let us know what the role is for a general evaluator?
Yes, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Mary. I'm your general evaluator for the day. The role of the general evaluator is to call upon the evaluators, the grammarian, and the timer to get our various reports on how we did regarding our ums and ahs, staying in our time limits, etc. I'll also offer a small overview of how I thought the meeting went, where I thought maybe we could improve and grow. And just, of course, positive feedback as well, because we've always got positive.
Yeah, but like, at what point do you say like, hey, that was my situation?
Okay, thank you so much, Jamil. Your turn.
Not a problem. All right. And did we find another speech evaluator for our second speaker before I move on?
We already have one, I believe. Or was it Dr. Alizan?
No, I'm evaluating.
Yeah, exactly. David's number 2.
David's number 2. Perfect. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and actually, I almost jumped the gun just a smidge. Let's go ahead and get our invocation or joke of the day. That's going to be done by Sonia Pond. She always has something thought-provoking, inspiring. I can't wait to hear what it is. Take it away, Sonia.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day. I love quotes, and I cannot believe I'm quoting this woman because she stole my husband, George Clooney. Her name is Amal Clooney. And she said this. She said, be courageous, challenge orthodoxy, stand up for what you believe in. When you are rocking in your rocking chair, talking to your grandchildren many, many years from now, Be sure you have a good story to tell. I want to encourage you, seize the moment. You're here in Toastmasters. Craft your story and tell it. Make it memorable. Make sure it impacts someone, because we will have, whether it's grandchildren or nieces and nephews or play cousins, they're waiting to hear a funny story from you, and you will change their lives. Craft your story, use this moment. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Awesome. I think it's even now, Sonia. You stole her quote after she stole your husband. I mean, so it's kind of even, kind of sort of even. One's a
Yeah,
little
we
bit
can just
more
change
on the-
bank accounts. That'd be great. But I feel you. I got you.
Yes. Good deal. All right. Well, let's keep the momentum rolling. So our first prepared speech today is going to be given by Sonia Pond. She's already started to loosen up, as you just heard. Her speech is going to be from Pathways from the Path Presentation Mastery. We have several different paths in Toastmasters, and she selected a Presentation Mastery speech. It's going to be a level 3, inspire your audience. For our timer, her time is going to be 5 to 7 minutes, and her speech title is going to be Change Your Narrative. Change your narrative. Sonia Pons, take it away, Sonia.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Let me ask you guys this question. Have you ever wanted change? And if so, how did you feel when you accomplished it? Were you elated? Were you ecstatic? And were you satisfied? Now I want you to think about an opportunity that you just kind of let pass on by. Or maybe you remained stagnant because you were afraid to jump in the water. How did those emotions, those feelings look? And did you want to actually stay there? My fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests, because you are distinguished guests when you come hang out with this family, I want you to understand that you have the power to change the trajectory of your personal and your professional life by just taking one step further. Now, let's face it, the world is difficult right now. I get it. But when you are standing still, you give the illusion that you are stagnant. But trust me, you are falling backwards and everyone else is moving ahead. Now, I just talked about the times that we live in. We are in the middle of a pandemic. We now have a new medical emergency. Inflation is high, political unrest, social unrest. But family, you still have the power to make an imprint. I like to call them imprints. No matter how big or small, the mark that you leave is yours. It is unique and it is tatted full of lessons and triumphs of getting up in moments like this and pushing through. So I'm going to ask you, what's the best part of you and what does it look like? And let's face it, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter, they are not the Hall of Fame of the Remarkables. They're just a mural of imprints. But you get to choose where you color. You don't have to be on social media sites to have an impact. You don't have to be that social media influencer to change your world. Who says that your opportunity, that narrative that you're changing has to look like everyone else's? So let me be your big mama for a second and offer some words of encouragement. One, everyone, and I mean everyone, has a shining light. Whether it's applauded or not, you are good at something. So I want you to nurture and refine that gift. Learn more about it. We're sponsored by a library. Hang out at the library. Look on the internet and find your tribe. Number 2, I want you to challenge yourself to share it in a supportive environment. Now, all of us are not lucky to have an immediate support system. Life is not always fair. But you have an opportunity to craft your own support system. Find programs like Toastmasters that will allow you to share your gift and use it in projects that will impact your community, impact your work, and impact your club. Number 3, I want you to actively, and I want to emphasize the word, actively seek to find support, I should say, in brave and safe spaces. I want you to be situationally aware. Remember, I talked about finding your tribe. Make sure that tribe that you find is a safe one. We always hear about SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. But how many of you have heard of the PESTLE? That's political, economic, social, technology, environmental, and legal analysis. When you are refining your gift, I have to challenge you to be intentional, to be strategic, but most importantly, be inclusive. Because when you're inclusive, you're going to generate diversity of thought and action. It's going to multiply your gift in the right spaces. And I emphasize that, in the right spaces, because all of us have a niche, but we have a place where it would shine the best. Number 4, I want you to work at your own pace. You are not in competition with anybody. Your stories is yours, and it's yours alone. Trust me, no one's going to hold me accountable for your story, but we're going to hold you accountable by how you leave your mark. Cultivate your narrative. But last, I want you to have fun. You heard it today. Create a brouhaha of opportunities in your life. The founder of Toastmasters, Ross Smedley, this is the most overquoted Ross Smedley, but it means so much. He said, we learn best in moments of enjoyment. And family, you are always learning. It doesn't matter, however, if you learn first to play by yourself. I had to learn to play by myself. My siblings were older. I had to use my imagination. And in that imagination, I was able to unlock some amazing possibilities. I challenged myself. And in your imagination, you can challenge yourself too. So this week, I want to challenge you to change your narrative. I want you to take some time to figure out your print and the opportunities it will generate for you by taking one small step. That step could be opening a book. It could be searching the internet. It could be making a phone call, filling out a form, or going to a meeting. You are worth it. And that gift that is forever needed is whenever you want to share it. But know that it's worth sharing. Toastmaster of the day.
Great. Thank you, Sonia. I told y'all it was going to be good. You already know. But just to be able to hear it and to hear some of the ways to change your narrative. I'm not going to go ahead and give well, maybe I will. This is going to be our round robin session for evaluations. Might as well go ahead and work it in now while it's fresh on our minds. And then we'll give the other speech for our prepared speech. We'll give that speech and then the evaluation after that. All right. Any quick, very quick, 30 seconds to a minute. What things stood out to Sonia's speech? Any takers? We'll take 2 or 3. Go ahead, Jennifer. I see you coming off mute.
Yes, she kept my attention. That's for sure. It was a very informative speech. I love her gesture, the way she kept the audience attention. She kept mine, so I imagine she kept everyone. It was a great speech. And she's the kind of speaker that I would wish I was. But for a moment, I thought I was talking to my therapist. That's and it's so encouraging. And Sandra, you always have been a good speaker. And I look forward to the rest of your speech. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jennifer. David, I believe I saw you come off mute for a second. Did you have something you want to chime in?
I was just going to talk about her nonverbals, her hand gestures, her pace, and most importantly, her pauses really add to the story. And as always, it was inspirational, thought-provoking, and it really wasn't a brouhaha, but it was a great speech. I believe Deborah's up next.
Good deal.
Yeah. Yep. To follow David, as I listen to Sonia, I always feel she is such a natural speaker. She believes what she says. So it doesn't feel like any practice speech. It just feels like she is genuinely concerned about her audience and truly, she said in her speech that to trust her. And I think that is easy to do because of her whole style of communication. So I'm always just encouraged and really I take to heart what she says to us. So thank you.
Good deal. Thank you, Debbie. Sarah Mary, I see your hand came up next, and then Carla, I'll come to you after Sarah Mary.
Okay, great. Yeah, Sonia, I loved your intro. I think that you immediately engaged our audience with the question. And then I like how you color your question to help us think about it too. I think some speakers just put a question out there or, say, imagine this, and then they don't elaborate at all and they don't help color what you should be thinking about. So I really appreciate that you did that. I agree that your hand gestures and your body movement throughout your speech was what really stood out to me. I would say that if you want to do imprinting when you're on the camera, maybe doing it up here instead of down here, something like this to the camera, that could be a cool way to help us see printing, something like that. And then, and when you introduce your 3 points, I would say I have three pieces of advice to give, because there's some science on the psychology of numbers that like really engages an audience. So that could be a great way to let us know that you have 3 points. So listen up for the 3 of them. And I loved all 3. They were incredibly practical. And I felt like it was something that I could take away and use right now. So I really appreciate it, Sonia. Always a powerful message. Thank you.
Good deal. All right. Carla, what thoughts would you have to share?
Like everybody else, I feel very inspired. You did not create a brouhaha with me. You created a very thoughtful and solemn moment. So, oops, don't record that, Debbie. The first thing I want to say is that you sandwiched it. You questioned and engaged us at the beginning, and you questioned and closed us off at the end. And in between, you told a story, and it all flowed. I thought at the very beginning, you said something along the lines, when you've been engaged in something, you were very excited in telling us, and then you said, and when you passed up a chance. I loved how your vocal changes occurred, because it really it colored the story of what you were saying. I thought that the giving us not only a summary, but then giving us practical steps to follow, and then encouraging us to do one sometime at the end was a very effective way of leaving us with not just the questions, but with an actual step. Do something, take one step. I thought that worked very well. The only thing I can say is that in terms of something that I might want to change, and I didn't actually catch the words, but your pauses were great, but somewhere in the middle, like the second, third, you got really fast for a minute and I couldn't follow what you were saying. I could hear the words, but it was so much information, I was having trouble. It was about the second, third, if you go back and look at it. Otherwise, pacing, gestures, story, everything good pulled together. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Excellent. Thank you, Carla. Don't want to leave anybody out. I think just about everybody is gone. So great job with that. Valencia, were you about to say something? You don't have to, or are you just getting ready?
I wanted to add, you really caught my attention, Sonia, when you asked about the tribe. I think that that's something, it just always gets my attention, because I think that we are always looking for that. We're looking for our tribe, our resources, our support group, our support system. And that call to action to find that, I think, is essential, especially right now. Like you said, the things that we're going through, the climate that we're in, and a lot of people are feeling isolated. And I just wanted to add that part because I think that sometimes we're going through the motions and we need to be reminded to check in with others. So thank you so much for that message.
Great. Thank you, Valencia. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next prepared speech, which is going to be given by Valencia. I see what you did there, Valencia. You were warming up like Sonia did when she did the invocation. You know, you get a little bit of runway. Okay. Valencia's speech is going to be from the path Persuasive Influence. It's going to be her icebreaker in Persuasive Influence. And the title of her speech is If You Don't Know Me by Now. Oh, I feel a song coming on, but I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it. Okay. If You Don't Know Me by Now, given by Valencia Timms. Take it away, Valencia.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Good afternoon, honored guest. I will tell you a little bit about myself. If you don't know me by now, I think there are 3 essential things that you should know about me, especially because I learned at a very young age that perception is reality. What I was combating was my mother's perception of me. My mother wanted me to be her little princess, her little doll. She bought me Barbies to play with, and I wanted to play with grass and dirt and watch the ants as they did their jobs. I spent hours like this watching the lawn. My mother said, there is something wrong with her. She's not right. I got in serious trouble because I took my mother's radio apart. I wanted to know how it worked. Where was the sound coming from? How does this thing produce this? She was so mad. She took me to the pediatrician and said, there's something wrong with her. The pediatrician told my mother that I, Valencia, am a curious observer. There's nothing wrong with her. She's just curious. My mother said she needs to go outside and play with other kids. So she took me out and taught me how to play double dutch. And that was how I had social interaction in my neighborhood. Now, I still watched the lawn and helped my grandmother with the puppies and took electronics apart. But I also played with the neighborhood kids. So that made my mother happy a little bit. As I went through life, school, and work, I stayed a curious observer. Look, I'm an introvert, but I love to sing and I love to write poetry. When I get up in front of people, I get really nervous. But these things I love, I can't help but share. Number 2 thing you need to learn about me is, if you didn't know by now, I'm a servant leader. My love language is service. And I wanted to give a gift to kids at the Juvenile Detention Center in my city in St. Louis, teach them how to communicate through poetry. Now, think about this when you're talking to teenagers about writing poetry, especially teenage boys. They're like, yeah, no, why would I want to do that? So the way that I had to do it was to talk to them about poetry and hip hop being alike. You know those songs you like to listen to? I don't mean the ones that are demeaning me, because I'm not talking about that, but the ones that are encouraging or uplifting, the ones that share knowledge, the ones where people are communicating what's happening in the neighborhood, sharing their news. You can learn from that and do that yourself. Let's try to construct 16 bars. And they were excited.
They thought this is awesome to be able to express myself this way. I was able to share that with them, and it warmed my heart to see them afterward learn how to communicate in this way and become better communicators as a result of it. The last thing that I think you should know about me is that I love technology. Now, you would think I was discouraged after taking my mom's electronics apart, and that I wouldn't want any part of technology after that, after all those spankings I got. But I couldn't help myself. As I got older, I realized that technology is a tool that we can use to better our lives, to better our work. And I couldn't keep my hands out of it. But I was still shy. The social thing was on my periphery and not in my main view. But I always found myself in a room with leadership because I'd figured something out to help their process improve. I come in the room with my paper and I say, "This is my report. Thank you very much." My manager called me stoic. Can you believe that? Me? Stoic? If you know me by now, you know that I'm not stoic. However, that was her perception of me, and that was the reality. At work, people see me as a person who won't engage. I come, I deliver the message, I go back to my corner. I had to find a solution for this. And that's when I found out that my job had a group that met once a week called Toastmasters. When I found Toastmasters, it changed my life. The most important lesson that I learned from Toastmasters was that I have value. And in technology, where sometimes I felt like I didn't fit in, there were times where people pat me on the shoulder and say, "Excuse me, miss, I'll take care of that for you." Excuse me, I can handle this myself. I had a friend who was told by the project manager in her meeting, she was the only woman there, "I'm going to give everybody an assignment, but you just show up and be pretty." Now, did he think that was a compliment? I'm going to tell you that the best thing that I can bring to a room, because I've been in Toastmasters since 2017, is my value. And the value is in my voice. I can speak up, I can ask questions, I can let you know what I know and what I don't know, and all of that's okay. But me, I'm a curious observer, a servant leader, and I love technology. Thank you so much, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests.
Great job. Thank you, Valencia. I'm still tripping on this. Just show up and be pretty. Like, come on, man. Why would we do this in a corporate meeting? As if you have to choose. How come you can't be pretty and add value? Why does it have to be either or, right? I mean, come on now. I mean, I got 2 little girls at the house, so I'm an advocate for women. All right, great job with that. That's going to conclude our prepared speeches. Now we're going to move into the second half of our meeting, which is going to be impromptu, spontaneous, thinking on your feet. Our table topics master is going to be Carla Sherry, and I'm going to turn it over to Carla to lead us through table topics. Take it away, Carla.
Thank you very much, Jamil. I appreciate it. And Valencia, I was really inspired by your speech too. Sometimes I feel like I am so behind the times because generationally, your and Sonia's groups were just encouraged more as females, I think, than my generation. But I really appreciate, I feel inspired every time I hear these stories. So thank you. And I know someone's going to evaluate you later. Okay, so today, no brouhaha about the topics. for the topic master. This is really about things that you might be passionate about based on what I ask you. So do I have a volunteer right now? No? Well, I would ask, oh, yay, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I look forward to it. Okay. So I always like to look at all the national days, and people have national days about everything. And so this national day is a national day that is one that I'd like you to talk about. And the national day is, it's called Community Service Day, and that's today. So I'd like you to tell us about the last community service you did, or some community service you're going to do that you're really passionate about.
Thank you for the question, Topic Master. On the 13th of August, I believe it's a Saturday morning, and I'm part of an Irish group here in Charlotte. It's called the AOH, the Ancient Order of Hibernians. I've been a member for about 12 years at this point, and Saturday the 13th, we are doing a food drive for homeless people in downtown Charlotte. Sounds very basic, but it's very necessary work, of course. It's a great bonding opportunity for me and the fellow members and members of the community. And that's just it. We're just getting together in a church hall to pack up lunches for people, homeless people in Charlotte, like I said. It's something that I've done since I was probably 8 or 9 years old. Started doing it in Dublin, in Ireland, and continued the tradition over to Baltimore, Maryland, and now down to Charlotte. It's just a simple way, get together a couple of hours every few months. It's really straightforward. It's very impactful. I know in Baltimore, we physically handed it to folks out there on Central Avenue. So very rewarding experience. And it also helps build great relationships within your local community. So that's what we will be doing on Saturday, August 13th. Thank you. Back to you, Topic Master Carla.
Thank you. That definitely really shows the spirit of the community. And I've never heard of the AOH. When you said it, my brain turned it around to HOA. I thought you were going to tell us about your little home thing, but sounds like a really good group of people and a good cause. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, next volunteer. All right, Jennifer, you don't have your mute on, so would you like to do this? Your mute's not on, so you're good to go. Okay, another thing August 1st is quite auspicious for, it's National Girlfriend Day. So tell us about how your friends, your community, your tribe has helped you in your life.
Thank you, Carla. I had 4 great friends before I came to Charlotte, but I had such a wonderful time with them, and we learned a lot from each other because we all have different personalities, and we were able. It's the first time a group of women we always argue. But we always found a time, at least once a month, on a weekend, we would go to the hotel together, bring a bottle of wine, and we talked about our grievances, why we were angry, what did I say to you, or what did you do to me? We let it all out. And after that, we went out to dinner, and we would just go on our merry way. And it was just a wonderful feeling to do that. To have someone to share your thoughts with, share your feelings with, and not get angry when someone say, because I was always so sensitive. It's just me. The least little thing you say to me sometime would hurt me. And they always say I always take things the wrong way, the wrong way. So, but sharing information with good friends meant a lot to me. And even now, those friends are no longer with me. As I walk through life, I meet other people that brings joy and light to me. And Toastmasters really is what I enjoy doing because it's a family. I learn a lot from being in Toastmasters. It gives me to relax. I'm finally relaxed. I'm speaking more than I usually speak, but it's a joy to be around people, socializing and doing things. And recently I just joined a creative writing group. And can you imagine, I'm writing a romance story about a vampire. So, so I didn't believe I could do that, but your imagination just grows. And it's people like my senior group, Toastmasters, a senior group. All of that brings so much to you. And I must say, I can't stop without saying this. The two speakers today were excellent. It was just like me getting in my car, fixing my rear view mirror and looking in the back and see me. Why me? Because that used to be me. Now, change is good. And I learn a lot. That's why I'm saying Toastmasters is great. So I learn a lot from you all. Thank you.
This is such a wonderful day and such a wonderful answer. And I am I have 4 sisters. When you said you have 4 friends, I really appreciate understanding that those friends can be just like sisters, because we surely fought when we were little. Now I do have a brother too, but we are really together. And those are people who definitely provide me with essential support. And so it's very important. Okay, one more. Let's see. Dennis, would you like to answer one of these?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I pick numbers 1 or 2.
1.
Okay. You're picking your own topic. Today is also National Homemade Pie Day. Hope you can relate to. So what's your favorite pie? And what does it remind you of, or how do you use pie to celebrate?
I don't usually or normally eat pie. It's Hispanic, so pie wasn't really something that I grew up eating, but if I do eat pie, it's more like apple pie. I usually do, if I get apple pie, I'll go to like McDonald's or something. Like I don't really go for the traditional route of like getting a whole pie. Sometimes we do get pie like for Thanksgiving, right? But that's very rare. You know, I don't really eat it on an occasional basis. So I think 1 was a bad choice for me.
You have 30 seconds. You want to try 2? 2 is, tell me about how you're a good planner. Today's National Planning Day.
Okay, that's a little better. So as far as planning goes, I typically try to make sure that I have everything aligned and scheduled ahead of time. I like to take as many notes and just be mindful of everything that I'm doing beforehand. So that way, when I'm getting into a meeting and I'm having a conversation with people, I know what I'm going to be talking about. So planning is very, very important for me in my role, and I use it to the best of my ability. So again, I can be very effective when I'm having those conversations.
Thank you very much. I was a project manager for 32 years almost in progressively bigger and bigger technological projects about technology. And so planning was a big part of my life. Now that I'm semi-retired, at least, it's not a very big part of my life. I get a lot less done somehow, but thank you. And Valencia, I could definitely relate to what project managers tell people. Not quite what the one told yours, but I know what they do and don't do. So with that in mind, I will turn it back over to our Toastmaster. And thank you very much, everybody, for participating.
Great. Thank you, Carla, for leading us through our table topic session, giving us a chance to kind of think on our feet and also think about life, how we've either had pies or had planned for stuff or anything that we've just had a chance to come up with. Finding our tribe, different groups of people, arguing with ladies, and then popping bottles afterwards to relax and talk it out. It's all good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right. I'm going to turn the next portion of our meeting over to our general evaluator to run our evaluations and our reporting. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Sarah Mary.
Thanks, Jamil. Thank you so much. Wonderful meeting so far, guys. We're cruising right along. Okay, well, we have one speech that has not been evaluated yet. That was Valencia Timms. We already did our round robin for Sonia, so we can check that off our list. I will invite David to offer his evaluation of Valencia's speech. David?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, and good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I've known Valencia for a while now, just through leadership at Toastmasters. I've never actually heard her give a speech before. And I wasn't sure what to expect because I've heard other people give speeches that are high up in leadership. And I hate to say they're really not that good, but Valencia was very good, entertaining, and kept me compelled with her speech. Like Sarah Mary, she started with the 3 things about her that we needed to know, and then she went into the various things. Her hand gestures were obviously great. It was all of her nonverbals that kept me intrigued, just like with Sonia. She changed her voice when she was talking about her mom, and she was painting pictures, and that's what public speaking is all about, is painting pictures instead of just saying words, so that your audience can actually be there with you when you're taking apart a piece of machinery and equipment. And I never heard of a girl doing that. As a guy, I took everything apart and could never put it back together, so I totally understood that, so I could relate to your story. Curious observer. That's a much better word than being destructive. I think I was destructive, but now I'm going to change it to curious observer. You also sprinkled some humor into your speech throughout it, which added to it a lot. And towards the end, you did a prop. You had your notebook. I always like props, even the smallest of props. And I think whenever we can use them, we should. I usually always have a prop ready to go when I'm giving a speech if I need to buy time. So I always like to have a prop ready to go. And I don't want to step on the grammarian's toes, but I don't think you had any filler words or anything. Sounded like a perfect speech to me. And the other nonverbal that I thought was really great was when you said, excuse me, because we can just say, excuse me, but your excuse me let us know exactly what you were talking about. And I laughed out loud on that one. Now, for room for improvement, I didn't realize you've been a Toastmaster since 2017. So mine says nada on it. I didn't have any room for improvement. The only place I would have challenged yourself, and Jamil alluded to it, is that's a Michael Bolton song. I thought you were going to sing a little, if you don't know me by now, but you didn't go there. So maybe next time, do a little singing. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think a lot of us had the pleasure of hearing your beautiful voice the last time, Valencia. You'll have to treat Dennis and the rest of the gang who missed it. Okay, wonderful evaluation. Let me call for our timers report. John, are you ready to give us feedback?
Thank you so much, Sarah. So for today, I kept track on my phone, so it's accurate. So there is absolutely 0 brouhaha going on, 0 brouhaha. So on that note, for Sonia, came in right at 7 minutes and 2 seconds. For Valencia, 7 minutes and 17 seconds. For myself, for table topics, thank you again, Jamil. I came in at 1 minute, 26 seconds. Jennifer at 2 minutes, 39 seconds. Jennifer, you were over, but you could have talked forever. I was just loving that, your development and what you were saying. That was fantastic. Dennis, great job. Thanks for joining us today. You came in at 1 minute and 15 seconds. And last but not least, David for Valencia, right on time, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Thank you. Back to you, Sarah.
Excellent, John. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Deb, would you like to give us our grammarian report for the day, please? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. And I would like to start with Sonia. Sonia was speaking in her typical clear, direct manner. She would never dream of using a filler because I think she is so focused on using wonderful vocabulary words. A few of those included ecstatic, elated, stagnant, trajectory, imprints, Hall of Fame of Remarkables, and tatted, I believe, was one of the words that you had in there as well. So with your style and your message, I don't think you would ever use filler words. I have not heard you use filler words. Going on to Valencia, just like David said, I did not hear any filler words at all. Her language that she used was so easy to listen to. It had some words in there such as curious, pediatrician, double Dutch. Many of us remember double Dutch, very hard to do. Introvert, servant leader, awesome descriptor, hip hop, electronics, technology, periphery, stoic. So she had a lot of great words in there that were an important part of her message. Going on to table topics, Jennifer, welcome back, number one. And I heard at times, and I heard this from a number of people today, where the word and gets in there, and it's a long and. It's like my so. So anyway, just be conscious of that. I maybe heard that 2 times. Dennis, it was interesting because when you talked about the pies, that seemed to be the less preferable of your 2 topics. So when you were speaking about the pies versus the planning came across as a strength with fewer filler words. And I think that's such a great example for all of us when we feel engaged and confident about our topic, we just go. So I think that's a great feedback for all of us. I noticed Carla and John at times would begin their conversation with us with the word so. That's our lead in. David, at times I heard you use a long and as you were joining sentences. You also used the word compelled, which was great. The word brouhaha, Sonia, David, Carla 2 times, and John 1 time used the word brouhaha. So thanks for paying attention to that word and getting it into our conversation. So with that, I'm going to stop and turn it back to our general evaluator. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie. Very thorough report. We appreciate you keeping your ear to the ground for us. It's not easy to be the grammarian. It's really not, or the timer, because when the speeches are as good as they were today, I get lost in them, and I don't know that I'd remember to turn yellow or red. Okay, I think that we had a fabulous meeting today. We started right on time. We remembered to record. We had a wonderful 15-minute pre-game chat, which is always delightful. Wonderful speeches that were phenomenally engaging and so inspiring. Really just an excellent meeting. I want to commend Valencia and Sonia as well for speaking. You know, I think we can fall into a rut where the same people end up speaking every week, and it can be hard to gain the courage to show up and present some new material, and the effort that goes into it beforehand should always be commended, because there is work involved outside of the volunteer club that we have to put in when we give a speech, and that takes time from your life, and it's a big deal. It should be highly commended when people participate in a speech. So thank you so much for giving us your time this week and doing that for us. It makes the meeting worthwhile, truly. The leaders, when we met this past week, we decided that we'd like to implement just some very small changes to our meeting to help us really just level up a little bit. So what I'd like to do before I turn the mic back over to our Toastmaster of the day, or I guess close out the meeting. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess I'll close out the meeting. Okay. I'm used to turning it over to you, Jamil. Before I close out the meeting, is I'd like to just get volunteers for a few roles for next week. So I see Sonia is already signed up as our Toastmaster of the day. Is that correct, Sonia, for next week? I believe it's you. Excellent. Wonderful. What I'd like to do is get somebody to volunteer for our table topics portion. And if one person wants to sign up to do a speech next week, I'd like to get them in the system. So does anybody want to take leading table topics for us next week? Debbie, you like to do it? Okay, here, look, let me You can unmute yourself.
I will take it, and if there was a theme, I'd be happy to include those topics in that
Okay.
theme.
That's what I would like to say too. Thank you for bringing that up. Sonia, could you maybe think of a theme today and just insert it in meeting notes at the bottom of the agenda on our Toast Host website?
Yep. Or I can put it actually on the agenda. So if we print it, we'll
Okay,
see
great.
it.
You're breaking out. Okay, perfect. And then that'll be fun to theme. Is everybody frozen?
It was you.
Okay, we're back. Oh, we're back. Okay, all right. Okay, Sonia, you're okay with that? Okay, excellent. You rock. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll pick a theme. Debbie will take table topics. Do I have any volunteers for a speech for next week? I know it's been a while since I've done one. Jamil, John. Jamil, you want one?
Yes, I just went in and signed up.
Okay, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, great. So we have one speech. Yes.
And I
Pete?
signed up to evaluate you.
Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to make it next week. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, guys, that's awesome. Yay. Okay, great. Well, we'll have some new faces. Thank you so much. Deb, I can go put you in the system as the table topics. I have it pulled up, so I'll go put you
Okay,
in.
thank you.
All right, my friends. Well, that's awesome. We'll be set up for success for next week. And this was a fabulous meeting. So okay, yes, please, Debbie. Mhm.
Oh, I was just going to add that as the new VP of Education, if you do take a new role, I would be so happy to listen to any questions you have or facilitate any role that you take on for the first time or a second or third time. I'd be happy to talk with you between now and our next meeting to guide you with either pathways or your role that you might take on at a meeting, just to give you any support that you might want. So
Thank you for that, Debbie. Thank you for making yourself accessible to new members. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Jamil, did you have something?
Hybrid club.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, thank you. So the leadership has decided, and based on everybody's interest, that we will begin our hybrid meetings. I think the date is still a little bit TBD, but it looks like it's more in the near future than not, just because the logistics have worked out swimmingly. So what we're going to try to do next week is have our leadership, a few of our leadership team show up in person to work on the technology, just see how we can get it up and running, work out any kinks or glitches. They'll test it out while everybody else just shows up online. And then once we get that under our belt, we can consistently meet at the library with the tech and open it up to whoever's available to meet in person. But of course, Zoom will be happening. So for our out-of-town guests especially, you will absolutely be able to participate in the same way that you have been, just with an in-person team. Okay, bye, Sonia. Thank you so much. Okay, yep, Carla, do you have something?
Last thing I wanted to say, is it Dennis? Is that the correct pronunciation of your name?
It's Dennis, yes.
Dennis, did you have any comments on your experience sharing with us or being here today?
None at all. I actually was going to type in the chat because I'm going to hop off. I have a meeting, but it was great. Really appreciate it and looking forward to connecting next time.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here, Dennis.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you next week.
So will Carla and I go there next Monday? Is that the plan? At the
And
library?
if Valencia is interested, and if Jamil
Okay.
can make it, that would be great. That would be the plan.
And meet there at about, 11:30, you think?
11:30,
Sure.
that should be perfect.
Okay.
11:30.
I hope we recognize each other in person.
It's very
First time.
weird. It's very weird to get to
I'm
know
gonna wear a sign.
I'm changing my hair just for it.
You already did.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, you have to get the back of your head now, it can't just be the front anymore.
That's so funny.
Okay, my friends. Well, I think that's everything. Yes, we covered it. Okay, fabulous. All right, well, let's end this thing on time. Thank you all for your participation, and I will see you next week, same time, same
Yep.
place.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Lauren. Talk to you later.
Bye,
Hey,
y'all.
Ronke.
Hey, Ronke. Yeah, bye, y'all. Thank you.